Welcome to the sixth episode of the Cyber Threats Radar podcast.
Great to be here.
Today, we're tackling a really crucial topic, I think, for anyone whose organization leans heavily on Google Workspace.
Mm.
We're talking about how to make sure all that vital data is truly protected and maybe just as importantly, recoverable when things, go sideways.
Absolutely. And let's be honest, in today's world, data is, well, it's everything, isn't it?
It really is.
You hear it described as the new currency, the new oil, maybe even the new nuclear power, some say. It's just that fundamental to how businesses operate now.
Yeah, you can't function without it.
Think about it. Understanding customers, making those big strategic decisions, driving innovation at all, hinges on having reliable data.
Right. And the potential fallout when that data is lost or compromised can be absolutely devastating.
Oh, for sure.
We've seen those high-profile examples like the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. The disruption there just rippled across whole industries.
It's a huge impact. But, it doesn't always take a sophisticated attack like that.
That's true.
Something as simple as, say, a power outage, or even just someone accidentally deleting critical files. That can have a major impact, too. Human error is a big factor.
Definitely. And for so many organizations, Google Workspace is where a huge chunk of that mission-critical data actually lives. Emails, documents, spreadsheets.
Exactly. So if that sounds like your organization, if you're listening and nodding along, then you're probably already giving some thought to keeping it safe. Or at least you should be.
Which brings us to what we really want to explore in this deep dive today. What are the effective strategies to not just keep your Google Workspace data secure, but crucially to ensure you can actually get it back quickly and completely if the unexpected happens?
Okay. So one of the first things we often see talking to people is a bit of a misunderstanding, maybe we can call it the assumption gap.
Assumption gap, I like that. What do
Yeah.
you mean?
Well, many organizations just assume that the tools Google provides natively are, enough. Things like Google Drive for desktop, Google Vault, and their data export features. I think Google's got this covered.
Okay, yeah, I can see how people might think that. Let's dig into that a bit. Google Drive for desktop is super convenient, right? For keeping files synced across devices.
It is absolutely convenient.
But relying on it as your primary backup, that seems a bit risky, doesn't it?
It really does. For example, there's a daily upload limit. It's 750 gigabytes.
750 gigs per day.
Right. Now, just imagine your organization gets hit with a ransomware attack. Everything's being encrypted. You need to quickly back up a massive amount of data right now to protect it, or maybe to restore clean versions.
Yeah, time is critical then.
Exactly. And that daily limit, that could be a serious bottleneck, a real showstopper. It really makes you wonder, or should make you wonder, would you be comfortable with potentially significant data loss just because of that kind of limitation?
That's a really sobering thought, a very important point to consider. Okay, what about Google Vault then? We know lots of organizations use that, often for compliance reasons.
Right. Google Vault is definitely a valuable tool. It's primarily designed for data retention to meet legal and compliance requirements. Things like e-discovery, holding on to emails for a set period, exporting data for legal cases, that kind of thing.
Okay, so retention and search.
Precisely.
Yeah.
However, its core function isn't rapid, large-scale backups and restores specifically for disaster recovery scenarios. Even Google itself points out that Vault isn't really a traditional backup solution.
Ah, okay.
Think of it this way. Vault is built for keeping data for a long, long time, maybe years. A backup solution is built for getting it back quickly, maybe within minutes or hours. That's a really fundamental difference in their design philosophy.
Got it. So if these native tools, Drive, Sync, and Vault, have these kinds of inherent limitations when it comes to actual backup and, more importantly, recovery, what's the most effective way then to address those gaps? How do you get true comprehensive protection?
Well, the most robust approach, really. It involves implementing a dedicated third-party data backup and restoration tool, one that's specifically architected for SaaS environments, software as a service like Google Workspace.
SaaS environments, you mean where the data lives in the cloud, not on your own servers?
Exactly. These
Yep.
are cloud-based software services where the data resides outside of your direct physical control, which presents unique challenges for backup.
And this is where a solution like SpinBackup from Spin.AI comes into the picture, correct?
Exactly right. SpinBackup is designed specifically to work alongside Google's native tools. It doesn't replace them entirely, but it provides that crucial additional layer, that safety net for comprehensive data protection. And the goal is ensuring your organization can maintain uninterrupted business operations, business continuity no matter what happens.
Okay, that makes sense, supplementing, not just replacing. So what are some of the key features and capabilities then? What makes SpinBackup a strong contender here?
All right, let's break it down. Let's start with the fundamentals. Secure and reliable data storage and restoration.
The basics.
The absolute basics, but critical. Spin Backup offers automated incremental backups. You can set it for once a day or even 3 times daily if you need more frequent snapshots.
And incremental. That means just the changes, right?
Exactly. Incremental backups are key because they only save the data that has changed since the last backup ran. This dramatically reduces the amount of storage space you need, and just as importantly, it speeds up the backup process itself. Less data to transfer.
Okay. And where does this backed up data live?
You get flexibility there too. You can choose secure cloud storage options from the major providers like AWS, GCP, or Azure, or there's even an option to bring your own storage, what's often called BYOS.
BYOS,
And
right?
of course, security is absolutely paramount throughout. We're talking robust encryption, protecting your data, both while it's being transferred, so in transit, and when it's just sitting there in storage at rest.
Hmm.
Plus, strong authentication methods to control access.
Okay, that definitely covers the security and reliability basics. Peace of mind on that front. What about meeting regulatory compliance? That's a huge headache. I mean, a huge concern for so many organizations, especially those operating across different regions or in sensitive industries like healthcare or finance.
Absolutely. Compliance is non-negotiable for many. Spin Backup is built with this squarely in mind. It adheres to several key regulations and standards. We're talking GDPR for Europe, SOC2, HIPAA for healthcare data in the US, PCI DSS for payment card information, and ISO 27001 for information security management.
That's a pretty comprehensive list.
It is. And it means you can be confident that your backed up data is being handled according to really stringent data protection, privacy, and security standards required globally.
And you mentioned operating in different regions.
Yes, importantly, to help meet specific regional data residency requirements like GDPR needing data kept within the EU. Sometimes you can actually select from multiple storage locations around the world for your backups. You choose where the data sits.
That ability to choose storage locations, that's a really significant advantage for compliance.
Definitely. And for accountability and transparency, which auditors love, detailed audit logs are readily available for absolutely all backup and restore activities. You know who did what, when.
Okay, essential for audits. Now, what about the actual speed and reliability when you need to get your data back? In a crisis, that's obviously the most critical part. How quickly can you recover?
Yeah. Availability and performance are key differentiators. Spin Backup is engineered for high data availability. It continuously monitors for any changes or additions to your Google Workspace data. This ensures that the very latest version, the most recent information, is always captured and available for recovery. You're not restoring week-old data.
Minimizing data loss, then.
Exactly, minimizing that recovery point objective, or RPO. Furthermore, to enhance both privacy and security, each customer's data is logically isolated and protected within the Spin Backup infrastructure. Your data isn't mixed with anyone else's.
Okay, good to know. And what about the financial aspect? We all know data storage costs can really add up, especially with large volumes.
True. Spin Backup is designed to be cost-effective in a couple of ways. Firstly, there are no additional fees, no hidden charges, to actually access or restore your backed up Google Workspace data when you need it. Some providers charge for data egress, pulling data out.
Ah, okay. No egress fee.
Right. Plus, as we mentioned earlier, the use of those incremental backups significantly minimizes the amount of data that needs to be transferred and stored on a daily basis.
Mhm.
And that translates directly into lower overall storage costs and, bonus, faster backup windows because less data is moving.
Right. Faster backups and less storage needed. It's a win-win.
Pretty much.
So when you put all these pieces together, the secure storage, the compliance features, the performance, the cost effectiveness, it really highlights the critical need for a dedicated solution like Spin Backup, especially when you consider the, let's face it, increasing risks of data loss from ransomware, errors, whatever, and the absolute necessity of maintaining business continuity.
Precisely. It comes down to this. By supplementing Google's native tools, which are good for what they do, with a purpose-built backup and recovery solution like Spin Backup, organizations gain a much, much stronger and more dependable strategy for protecting their vital Google Workspace data.
It fills the gaps.
It effectively addresses those inherent limitations of the native tools we talked about earlier. And ultimately, it provides the confidence, the assurance that you can recover swiftly and completely from a whole wide range of data loss events, all while staying compliant with important regulations.
So the key takeaway here, for all of you listening who rely heavily on Google Workspace, and that's a lot of organizations these days, it's really worth taking a close, honest look at your current data protection plan.
Mm.
Ask yourselves, does it offer the comprehensive coverage and, crucially, the rapid recovery capabilities your organization truly needs in today's, frankly, quite scary evolving threat landscape?
That's the million-dollar question. And we encourage you to explore the resources available from Spin.AI. You can learn more about their Google Workspace backup and recovery capabilities specifically.
See how it works in detail.
Yeah, and understand how a solution like SpinBackup can really significantly bolster your overall security posture and resilience against data loss.
Excellent advice. Definitely food for thought for anyone using Google Workspace.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. Stay safe.